Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. The first official trailer for the Suicide Squad, is finally here. The internet is ablaze, and I thought I'd check it out. This is an interesting one. I'm not quite sure whether this is intended to be a continuation of the previous Suicide Squad, or whether it is much like Zack Snyder's Justice League, a second go at the original Suicide Squad. It's not called Suicide Squad 2, it's called The Suicide Squad. So my first interpretation is, okay, this is, a fresh start, but we'll see. I mean, I'm one of the few persons who actually enjoyed the previous Suicide Squad, and I think it actually did relatively well box office wise, somewhere in the range of 750 million, which is pretty damn good. With Zack Snyder's Justice League being released and having, for the most part, mostly, positive reaction from the fandom, there is, the speculation as to whether or not we will get, to see the Ayer cut or not. I don't know that we will. We'll see. The state of DC is currently a bit tumultuous at the moment. We have no idea what may happen. But I'm definitely looking forward to this, depending on what direction they choose to go with it, because as I understood, Will Smith is no longer returning as Deadshot. So again, is this a retelling of what the original should have, or they wanted the original to be, or is this a continuation? I just don't know. So we'll get into that a bit after the trailer, so we can discuss what the future holds for the Suicide Squad, and how James Gunn, what he intends to actually do with all these characters. So let's check it out.
You gotta be kidding me. You're gonna risk the entire mission for a mental defective
Idris
Justice Corps.
Elba.
Coming from a guy that wears a toilet seat on his head. We don't leave one of our own behind. Hopefully
I don't remember who John Cena's character is supposed to be. Probably some unknown DC character.
Fire. 3,
Okay, he's
2.
back.
What are you guys doing?
What? We're here to save you.
You were gonna save me?
It was a really good plan, too.
Well, I can go back inside and you can still do
Still
it.
does a pretty fantastic Harley, at
So
least.
sorry. Harley Quinn.
Bloodsport.
Okay, so he's Bloodsport. It's not replacing Will.
You know the deal.
Well, he's replacing him on the team, but that
Successfully
happens in the
complete
Suicide
mission,
Squad.
You get 10
no
years off your
surprise there.
sentence.
I guess it wouldn't be a James Gunn
Follow
film
my
without a
orders in
goofy
any way.
animal character somewhere in
I
there.
detonate the explosive device in the base of your skull.
Can do the job for free. So this is the famous Suicide Squad.
Nom nom.
King Shark, I did read somewhere that Sylvester Stallone was cast to voice him. That's fantastic.
Yes, that
That's
is your
brilliant.
hand. Very good.
We're all gonna die. I hope so. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Here's the deal. We failed a mission.
You die.
If we find out any information you give us is false, you die.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
No.
If you cough without covering your mouth.
Harley, although that isn't an open invitation for you to cough without covering your mouth.
Cover your mouth, people. Wear a mask.
How the hell am I supposed to know? You're the leader. You're supposed to be decisive. And I've decided that you should eat a big bag of dicks. If this whole beach was completely covered in dicks, and somebody said I'd eat every dick until the beach was clean for liberty, I would say no problemo.
Why would someone put penises all over the beach?
Who knows why madmen do what they do?
That was funny.
This is suicide.
Well, that's kind of our thing.
All right, Harley.
Don't you worry, eh? I'm gonna get you out of here alive.
I'm going to get you out of here alive.
Oh my God! We've got a freaking kaiju up in this shit.
I love the rain. It's like angels are splooching all over us.
August 6th. All right. So, I mean, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks like it's a lot of fun. Something you can just go in, not thinking about the DCEU or in a wider universe, just enjoying it as a standalone film. And that's what the Suicide Squad was supposed to be. But, I mean, with this, I still can't help but wonder. I mean, first off, I love the casting for King Shark. Sylvester Stallone, fantastic here. It's just brilliant casting. It's not something I would have ever thought, okay, Sylvester Stallone would be great here. I wouldn't have thought of it, but this is his. Did he have another role in a comic book film, or is this his first? I'm trying to remember if he did, but this could possibly be his very first, whether Marvel or DC, first comic book role. But I could be wrong, but I'm glad to see him cast as King Shark. That's just brilliant. Just a brilliant idea. Hats off to you, James Gunn, for getting that casting. I mean, Harley looks great. Idris Elba as Bloodsport. I don't remember a whole lot about that character. I thought he would have been just Deadshot, but I guess they didn't want to just swap, actors. So they just swapped characters, which makes more sense because that happens a lot in Suicide Squad. But a lot of what, I felt, at least for me personally, the issue was with Ayer's Suicide Squad was that, it got too wide in scope. The Suicide Squad historically, whether comic-wise or the movies and so on, there's usually they go on these missions that whether to deliver a package, to steal something, rescue someone. They went apocalyptic in Ayer's Suicide Squad, which I thought was absolutely unnecessary. I think they could have just made Amanda Waller the target for rescue. And, it could have been a great film just on that premise alone, because I did not see that coming at all until the revelation was actually made. So that could have been the point, but they decided to go apocalyptic with the witch and all of that. It was just too much happening at the same time. It was just one giant mess. If you look at something as, not to do comparisons, but, in the vein of this would be Marvel's Ant-Man, where it was just a heist movie. Gradually as we get sequels, it would probably go beyond that. But I mean, they could have made that film. They could have made Suicide Squad just a complete different beast from all the other DC films, and just focus on those smaller elements. So that didn't work. The villain, of course, people didn't love. I love the actress in the role, but they didn't quite sit the landing as far as the conclusion. But for me, the most important thing was, taking the DC villains seriously. And as much as I think this film would be a lot of fun, I realize it's attempting to do the same thing that the previous one did, which was make the DC villains kind of comical and goofy. And I mean, there are some who are. Harley Quinn, for example, she definitely is. But, the other characters, not so much. They'd have witty banter back and forth, but not downright, campy, and silly. So I'm interested to see what happens here. I mean, this is James Gunn's style, his humor, and all of that. So I don't know. I think this trailer is an accurate representation of what we can actually expect. And following his, Guardians of the Galaxy films, that is what you're going to be getting. But I don't feel as though that was absolutely necessary for these characters. If DC wanted to have light-hearted moments, had those light characters, they could have just focused on doing Shazam. They could have done a Static Shock movie, or Young Justice movie. There are just so many. They have a lot of characters they could do this with. But Batman's Rogues Gallery is, I feel those characters deserve a better treatment, and we did to some extent. I mean, we got the Joker afterwards, and that was absolutely phenomenal, because those are the characters that, you can have a deep dive and do a character study with. But to see them used here in that, just to be a bit playful, and again, it just feels as though they should be taking these characters a bit more seriously, and then leave those moments to the other characters who deserve it. They could have done a Joker and Harley Quinn movie for all I care, and that could have been it. But as I said, it still looks like a lot of fun. I don't know what this will mean for the future of the Suicide Squad. This could have been one of those properties that they do several films for and swap out the characters. But again, they didn't. If they are going to be making every character, one note and the comedic lines and all of that, it's going to get old really quick. And I don't know if people are going to be coming in not expecting the same thing that they got from the last Suicide Squad and wonder, why do I need to see this? So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I definitely will check it out to see James Gunn's vision. I do worry what the future sequels, if any, will actually be for this, given the current state of the DCEU. I don't particularly think we're going to be getting an Ayer cut, unfortunately. I think DC has been, or Warner Brothers has been pretty straightforward about about expanding and giving directors the freedom to recreate everything that has already been done. And I know a lot of people have been giving them flack for that, and some of it is well deserved because they messed up initially trying to rush these stories. But I mean, as far as the Zack Snyder's Justice League goes, they pretty much have most likely lost money, putting that on streaming. The one that they put into having it remade and on streaming, despite the Twitter followers suggesting that the film had a lot of views or a lot of tweets suggesting that they to restore the Snyder Cut and all of that, which is great. It's good to support the artists and the art, but you do have to be practical about what makes sense as a business. And as it is now, I don't think I think we can all look at it now to see if Zack Snyder's Justice League had performed enormously well, then Warner Media would have released the viewership numbers and we would have seen them and they would have been praising it and all of that. But we haven't, and the fact that we haven't gotten that information as yet suggests that it didn't meet that expectation that the fans believe and wanted it to. So we do have to look at it, as a business. They're not going to be they most likely lost money on this, and they're not going to lose more money by greenlighting a sequel to that. And the same for the Ayer cut as well, especially considering how well the last Suicide Squad actually performed, which I think it was somewhere about 700 million. So for them to pump more money into redoing that and losing money again for that film, it just wouldn't make any sense financially. And again, as I said, the whatever changes that they made to Ayer's Suicide Squad, it has continued here, and they've already produced another Suicide Squad. So for them to backtrack now would just not make a whole lot of sense, for them to do that. So as I said, this looks like a lot of fun. I think more than likely this is going to be the last Suicide Squad film that we actually get. It looks like a lot of fun. I'll definitely check it out. I would rather the Warner Brothers, eventually, because we have the new Batman film coming up, and I think for the everyday moviegoer, this might be a bit confusing, because we've already had Batman, Affleck's Batman introduced in the Suicide Squad, and we have the Suicide Squad here. And then they may eventually have to cast those characters in the next Batman movie that's coming up. So they will need to close these films out so that they can move beyond this. And I think that is the right approach, as much as I want to see a lot of these stories and where they lead to. I think if they have learned their lesson, they will have the Batman film run its course. And, if necessary, introduce more characters and build on that as time goes on in that new phase of that DCEU or whatever they want to call it. But once enough time has passed. But to have them running concurrently wouldn't make a whole lot of sense story-wise. And I think that would, for us in that small niche who understand that there's a multiverse and, this could be happening in one of several. But for the common moviegoer, it's not the case, and they may feel too much familiarity with the stuff, and they may end up losing viewership by doing that. So I think their intention, if anything, with the Flash movie coming up, is most likely to use that to reboot the universe and then move on from there. And there are a lot of great things in the DCEU, and one of the things I wanted to, praise Zack Snyder for doing is, and I think that's one of the things that's most frustrating about this, is that a lot of the casting in the DCEU has been fantastic. Harley Quinn here is fantastic. Superman, Batman, I thought was great. Gal Gadot, and it brings something in particular to mind, in that I think a lot of these, a lot of the lessons that Warner Brothers can take from this whole debacle is cast relatively unknown actors and actresses if you're going to be building on a franchise that you intend to last several years. I think Zach did a great job by casting Henry Cavill, who was an actor at the time, but he wasn't a household name, I wouldn't say, until Superman. But you get less drama on set and stuff like that, and I think that's in part what has plagued a lot of the films in the DCEU. We had the situation with Joker, and the actor wanting more screen time in Suicide Squad, which the Suicide Squad was never about the Joker, so perhaps they shouldn't have shot the scenes, or perhaps they misled Jared Leto in telling him that he would have had more screen time. But the Suicide Squad has never been about the Joker. The Joker, when introduced, is usually a wild card. So I think how he was used in the film was fine. It was just the lines that he was given that was, that just wasn't great. So things like that. I know there was a bit of controversy surrounding Ezra Miller as well, and so on. So a lot of great potential casting wasted, unfortunately. I wouldn't say wasted, because I still love the Aquaman films, I still love the Wonder Woman films, so it's just a pity that we may not have these characters going forward. But at the very least, I feel they have laid the foundation for lessons to be learned going forward, and what the Justice League can look like or should look like if it's done right in the future. So be sure to post down below, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on this trailer. Hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one.